is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Hello and welcome to News 9. You are watching On Point with me. Today we have 3 On Points. In On Point 1, we ask, where is Taliban chief Hibatullah Akhundzada? Because nobody knows where is he after Pakistan's pre-dawn airstrikes. Islamabad declares open war. Taliban retaliates with drone attacks in the heart of Pakistan. In On Point 2, we tell you about the partial rollback of the controversial Section 39A of Goa's TCP Act and the complete blowback because Goan says this is not enough. And finally, on Point 3, we tell you how the Delhi Rouse Revenue Court tore apart CBI and its flawed charge sheet in the Liquorgate case. And let's take a quick look at the headlines. President Murmu takes sortie in light combat helicopter Prachand ahead of IAF's Vayu Shakti. President flies in indigenous combat chopper before Air Force's mega firepower exercise. Actor-politician Vijay's wife Sangeetha files for divorce, alleges infidelity. TVK chief asked to appear before the Chengalpattu family court on April 20th. Expelled ADMK leader VK Sasikala slams O Paneerselvam for joining DMK, calls the decision a grave mistake and accused the party General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy of dictatorial tendencies. Karnataka Congress MLA intensify power struggle by lobbying for Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar to replace Siddaramaiah as CM. More than 30 MLAs attended a dinner meeting at a hotel in Bengaluru. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in Mumbai on official visit to India from 27th Feb to 2nd March 2026. This is Prime Minister Carney's first official visit to India. India-Canada ties set to be strengthened. Tonight, a single unverified claim has jolted the region. Reports suggest Pakistani airstrikes may have zeroed in on the Taliban's top leader in southern Afghanistan. That possibility frames the first and the most sensitive development in the rapidly escalating crisis. In response, Taliban attacked 3 Pakistani cities with drones, including Abbottabad, which houses a nuclear facility. Abbottabad is an important military center in Pakistan. Pakistan kept Osama bin Laden hidden in Abbottabad suburb for years before he was found by the American intelligence agency and subsequently killed in Abbottabad in one of the black operations. With this, the conflict has become bigger. On top of it, it is the unverified but also not denied story of Taliban Supreme Leader Hibatullah Akhundzada being hit in Kandahar. Residents reported hearing fighter jets overhead during the night, a detail that has intensified speculation. Initial chatter pointed to strikes in Kabul, but the Kandahar focus has raised the stakes considerably. It has been confirmed that bombs were dropped in Kandahar, but there is no confirmation of any leadership casualty. But it has also not been denied. The counter-attack that Taliban organized has primarily been done via drones, and that too deep inside Pakistan. On Feb 27, Pakistan carried out airstrikes across multiple Afghan provinces just hours after Taliban claimed cross-border operation inside Pakistan. Islamabad is accusing Afghanistan for sponsoring terrorism. Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi called the action a firm response to the aggression. Now, the escalation brings focus back to the leadership question. Hibatullah Akhundzada occupies a unique position within the system, a cleric rather than a battlefield commander. He exercises authority through religious legitimacy and written edicts. Born in Kandahar, he maintained an exceptionally low profile and he rarely appears in public. He relies on trusted lieutenants. But now, with the strike and the counter-strike, it assumes a bigger dimension. Afghanistan does not recognize Durand Line. It feels that it emaciates what Afghanistan can be. So there is a claim and a counter claim in terms of what they are hitting each other, how they are hitting each other, and what has been the scale of the casualty. But the long and short is, Abbottabad has been hit, Islamabad has been hit, Kabul has been hit, Kandahar has been hit, Paktia has been hit. Defence Minister Khwaja Asif on X declared that the Pakistan's patience has run out and described the situation in stark terms as an open war. He said that after NATO's withdrawal, peace was expected in Afghanistan, but instead the country became a hub for exporting terrorism. Imagine this is what Pakistan is saying, which exports terrorism globally. But this war declaration is not as spontaneous as I said. It is a result of colonialism, because Durand Line is unacceptable to the Afghan leadership, which brings me to some important questions before I introduce my guests. One, was the Kandahar strike a symbolic pressure or a calculated attempt to hit the Taliban's core? Can either side control escalation once major cities are drawn into the conflict? And does the absence of confirmation of Akhundzada fate signals restraint or something far more serious? And please remember, even the demise of Mullah Omar was declared 2 years after he was laid to rest. And finally, what is the significance of Taliban striking 3 Pak cities with drones, and how significant is the attack on Abbottabad? With claims colliding and tempers rising, the next move might as well reveal whether this situation stabilizes or spiral out of control. On this issue, I am joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri, Dr. Shanti Marriott D'Souza, Founder and Executive Director, Mantra Institute for Strategic Studies, and Major General Sanjay Soi. Thank you, all of you, for joining me. But let me straight away go to Ambassador Sikri. Madam, this is unimaginable development in last 72 hours. Pakistanis have bombed the residential quarters where the Taliban supreme leader was. It has been reported by TASS, but it has not been denied by Taliban that he is dead. Second, Taliban has attacked Abbottabad, couple of military installations, even Islamabad. Pakistan has not spoken about the nuke facility, but said all drones are down. Opening comments, madam.
Well, it is indeed a very serious security development in our neighborhood, and certainly the decision by Pakistan to launch a war on Afghanistan is totally reprehensible. But so far, Pakistan doesn't seem to have committed any troops. No soldiers have entered Afghanistan. They are launching an air war again. They have launched an air war against Pakistan, against Afghanistan, and the casualties are exactly as you said. The strike on Kandahar, whether it has eliminated Akhundzada, the spiritual leader Akhundzada, is unknown yet. But we do know that both China and Iran have expressed their great dismay over this and are both possibly intervening. China has said they already have a trilateral forum between China, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and this forum has been meeting from time to time, and they already have, I think, probably activated this forum or sent messages to both sides trying to bring down the hostilities immediately. They've expressed real concern, deep concern at the hostilities. Similarly, Iran has also said that they are trying to use informal sources. But I think the whole situation is really serious because Pakistan is accusing Afghanistan of harboring both the Baluch Liberation Army terrorists, what they are defining as terrorists, and also the TTP, the Taliban Pakistan. So it's very difficult to know how it's going to end. But I don't know why Pakistan chose this particular moment to enter into these hostilities, which are really going to be a major forward movement in the hostilities, and it's really difficult to know how it's going to end.
Okay. Dr. Shanti Marriott D'Souza, my question is, what is the significance of Taliban attacking Abbottabad in Pakistan?
Well, I think it's significant given that it's, as you mentioned, it's a military cantonment, and it's definitely more about signaling about Afghanistan's Taliban's capacity to hit back on Pakistan. As you know, Taliban had been strategic assets of the Pakistan army for very long, and now they are asserting their independent stand, which is not really acceptable to the Pakistani military establishment. I think more importantly, it's to understand that beyond that posturing is also the chosen targets, for instance, Kabul and Kandahar and Paktia. and Abbottabad in Islamabad, it shows that this war is going to escalate at various levels. Now, to come to the question of what it means in terms of Abbottabad, it's a direct hit at the Pakistan military, a military which had supported, sustained, and strengthened the Taliban against the American war for the last 2 decades, is now showing a classic case of a strategic blowback for Pakistan. And I think that's a message for the Pakistan military and intelligence establishment there.
General Soi, what is your assessment? Do you think it's going to escalate? Because one, both of them have used aerial vehicles to attack each other. Secondly, it has gone beyond 72 hours. Third, they have attacked each other in a pretty, in a very hard way on the Durand line. And fourth, Taliban has got back attacking a military station inside Abbottabad. I'm not running those visuals because I can't verify them, but they are all over the place.
Yeah, Karthikeya, in fact, very interesting, because what happened after the last encounter they had last year, I think Afghanistan had prepared itself in a better conditions. They have improved their air defense system, because there are reports of they downing a Pakistan aircraft also. That also cannot be verified, but there are a lot of reports about they shooting down one Pakistan aircraft. Secondly, Pakistan thought that Afghanistan Air Force or air power is very, very weak. Definitely, as far as aircraft is concerned, they are not very good, but they have proved that they can still carry out strikes inside Pakistan by using drones, and which was quite effective. The Pakistan claimed they have downed most of the drones, but whether they downed or some were down, definitely, but still that message is there, and that some impact would have been there. Thirdly, as far as ground is concerned, I would say that in air, Pakistan is definitely stronger in spite of better air defense system by Afghanistan. Thirdly, as far as ground forces are concerned, Afghanistan army is much better trained and to fight in the kind of terrain which is there in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area along Durand line, and they have experience of fighting Americans, and they have been fighting for so many years. They are used to the bombing, they are used to the firing, they are used to the shelling. On the other hand, I don't know who advised Field Marshal Munir to carry out this strike, because Pakistan army hands are already full. On the one hand, there's a BLA attacks are going on the other hand, they are not able to control the TTP. Now they opened another front. And now probably I think their foreign minister has already spoken to Qatar, their foreign minister has spoken to Saudi Arabia, Iran has been requested, Iran is trying to make a peace deal between them. So Pakistan probably it find that it is probably bitten more than it could chew, and Asim Munir must be regretting the kind of strikes which are going on. Though they have declared an open war, I don't know how long it will go on, but at present things are quite bad, Karthikeya.
Okay, Ambassador Sikri, is it also because of the fact that the world is distracted? You know, now the Chinese have notified all their nationals to leave Iran immediately. India has already done it. America has already done it. In fact, Americans have issued an advisory that Americans should actually not go to West Bank, and non-essential staff from their embassy in Jerusalem is being packed and dispatched back to the United States of America. So, you know, is Pakistan thinking that they can have their local war while the world is busy in various bigger theaters, madam?
No, actually, I don't think so, because I think that Pakistan has taken a wrong decision, definitely. But I think Asim Munir would have estimated on a very quick success.
Okay.
And he would have thought that his air superiority over Afghanistan would have led to very quick successes, and then he could show a victory. But I think he's made a wrong calculation. I agree with what the co-panelists have said, that it's only going to make the Afghanistan people more determined to fight back, and they have certain advantages, definitely. I think the Durand line issue will now become even more intractable for Pakistan, because Afghanistan Pakistan will be even more determined to assert its claims on the non-recognition of the Durand Line. I think China's role, because of China's influence over both Afghanistan and China and Pakistan and the trilateral forum they have, I think China is going to try its best to bring the hostilities to a halt, because they have their own people in both Afghanistan and Pakistan. They have a lot of their people working on different sites and working in different places. So it's in China's direct interest to stop the hostility so that their interests, the economic interests and others don't get affected in these regions. So I think they are the only ones who can put pressure right now. But I think the imminent strikes by President Trump on Iran, I think are not so imminent right now. It doesn't seem that it will happen right now. I don't think they would have linked it with that.
Dr. Shanti, do you think that the chickens have come to roost for the Pakistan? It was in 1980s that the Pakistan started funding the madrasas on the border. They are saying, all the Islamic attacks that are taking place in the Shia mosque. I think it's a result of the radicalization which Pakistan underwent. Ziaul Haq, it was their policy. They radicalized Afghanistan. They built the networks. They created TTP. They ended up creating all these wild organizations which are now part of the governance of Taliban too. And they're saying that we are being attacked by them. What an irony, ma'am.
Absolutely. I think it's much even before. It started in the 1970s when they actually provided sanctuary to the 7 Islamist parties from Afghanistan in Pakistan and started funding the Coat War. Yes. And what happened in the 80s is a lesson in terms of counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency, that the support they gave to the Taliban saw that the Taliban came to power in 1990s. And even in 1990s, they didn't have that control on the Taliban, which they always assumed they had. So I think it's a case of a strategic blowback and a classic case of where you have a turncoat at this point of time. And that's because the Taliban are essentially Afghans and they are Pashtuns, and they identify themselves as very independent and fierce in terms of their freedom. If you look at their tribal code, the Pashtunwali code, it always talks about hospitality and honor of the guests. And thereby, even if they have groups like Al-Qaeda and TTP, they have that prism of providing hospitality and protection to their guests. So I think it's a very difficult terrain to understand for outside observers. But for those who are studying Afghanistan and Pakistan, particularly in the tribal areas, I think we need to see it through the tribal prism as well to understand what it means for these groups to be mushrooming there. But the larger question is also, as you said, that Pakistan has supported, used these groups as states instruments, and today they are facing a blowback for what they have actually created.
General Soy, will this not make Pakistan more nervous, because there is a pressure on their eastern front? This is something which they don't in the western front, something which they don't want, because you have the Kashmir, the POK, their deployment there, and on the other side, the western side, you have Afghanistan. And secondly, why would Pakistan attack Kandahar? And why would they target those areas where the top Shura leadership is residing in Kandahar? Why would they do that?
In fact, Karthikeyan, it is quite intriguing why they carried out the strikes. On the one side, I think at times, I feel it could be because the internal situation in Pakistan, because of Imran Khan is in jail and probably a lot of demonstrations were going on in Pakistan, he having lost 85% of his eyesight. That is one way that it must be trying to distract attention, as they have been doing in the past also. Second could be that probably in the imminent strikes on the Iran, if America is trying to use the Pakistan airspace, probably they didn't want anything to happen from Afghanistan side, and they wanted to take a proactive stand and carry out a killing of top leadership of Taliban. How much success they achieved, that is to be seen. But one thing is very sure, that even if they have succeeded, the Taliban army, Afghanistan army is quite determined, and the way they are carrying out attacks, the way they are carrying out strikes, ground attacks, air strike, and their resilience is quite visible. because probably in the holy month of Ramzan, this kind of attack on civilian population, and I think there's one attack on the hospital also, cannot be accepted, and I think it would have also raised the stakes. And Pakistan, I'm sure, has bitten off more than they could chew. That is what I said earlier, and it was in my personal opinion, not a right decision, Karthikeya.
Ambassador Sikri, closing comment from you. Do you think that this cycle can escalate? Though Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Russia have offered intervention, mediation.
Yeah, but I think it can certainly because of the determination of the Taliban to not accept it lying down. And especially if their spiritual leader, Akhundzada, has been hurt in any way, I don't know about his elimination, that will be a further spur to them, and they will be bitter fighting. I think if the Pakistani ground troops are to get involved, because that's the next stage, isn't it? That the Pakistani ground troops will be sent across the border, or they will be involved in the fighting. That would be something very major and I think very difficult for Pakistan to handle, because it would mean withdrawing troops from their border with India, from the eastern border. And I think all these elements show that the Pakistan decision was a wrong one at this particular time. When America is talking about the attack on Iran, they are now doing this. I don't understand what local gain Asim Munir thinks he could get. Maybe his popularity is so low that he thought for a quick success would push him back into the higher rungs of popularity with the people of Pakistan. But it's a wrong calculation, and I don't think there's going to be any good outcome on it for Pakistan.
Thank you all of you for joining me. So this is all I had on point 1. But don't go away, because after the short break we'll have on point 2, and we'll tell you about the partial rollback of the controversial Section 39A of Goa's TCP Act and the complete blowback, because the Goan says that this is not enough.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर्ड बंधन म्यूचुअल फंड।
वकील साहब, अच्छी खासी प्रैक्टिस है, नया फील्ड में क्यों जाना?
सिस्टर, देश का सोच रहे
और इसके फ्यूचर का नहीं सोच रहे।
SBI लाइफ से अपनी बेटी का फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
तभी तो इनको अपने इरादे पूरे करने का राइट है।
करो पूरे अपने इरादे,
अपनों से किए सभी वादे।
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
घर है वही जहाँ सब संग हो, रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो।
Birla Opus Paints।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कर आता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Every champion's journey starts with second thoughts.
क्या हुआ?
Till they see it's possible and there is someone who truly believes in them.
एक दिन बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनना है ना?
Orchids, the international school, raising 85,000 champions across India.
The fight against controversial provisions of the TCP law is far from over. We make it clear that Goans are in no mood for a token rollback, because this people's movement is demanding full accountability and real repeal. The Goa government has removed Section 39A in St. Andre's constituency, just one constituency. Following this, MLA Veere Borkar has called off his hunger strike, but let's be clear, this is not the repeal of the law, this is not stage-wide rollback, this is a selective pause, not policy correction. Section 39A continues to exist across Goa. The protest may be paused at one side, but the larger resistance across Goa is very much alive. But what followed the protest raised serious questions. An FIR has been filed against Borkar and the villagers, accusing them of theft of files from the TCP office. Protesters say officials and police were present throughout and the CCTV cameras covered the premises. The question is unavoidable. Is this law enforcement or intimidation? Is this due process or warning shot to silent dissent? When citizens protest planning decisions that alter their villages, does the state respond with dialogue or criminal cases? Goans are angry, upset because Section 39A allows non-settlement zones to be converted with administrative approvals, bypassing public consultation. Villages fear irreversible changes to ecology, habitation pattern and land ownership. The anger is not political, it is grassroots. It comes from the villagers who say planning is being done for builders, not residents. This is about who controls Goa's land and who pays the price when zoning changes overnight. So is removing the Section 39A from one constituency enough when the law remains intact elsewhere? Should protesters face criminal charges for demanding transparency? And most importantly, will the government engage with the Goans of comprehensive reform or continue with the peaceful damage control? The message from the ground is clear. This is definitely not enough. The fight continues and we will keep asking the questions until Goans get answers, not assurances. And these are the visuals of recent past when one of the bars, a dance studio was brought down. And it was brought down because a dance studio was being run illegally. So this was the consequent action and rapidly a lot of things were done. But the question is encroachment, illegal construction, not adhering to the law. Is the prosperity becoming a bane for the Goans? Is there too much construction that is happening? Yes, Goa needs tourism, it needs that money, rightfully. Goans are very hospitable, inviting, that is why tourists feel at home there. But what about responsible tourism? And what about the Goanese way of life? On this issue, I'm joined by Justice Fardino Rebello, former judge, lawmaker, public activist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. My question to you is this enough?
Mr. Karthikeyan, thank you for, I think it's a repeat call yesterday and today.
Absolutely, sir. Sometimes you need to stay on the story.
I know that, that's fair on your part. See, at the end of the day, the demand made by the Enough for Enough movement is that Section 39A must be scrapped. Okay. Now, why? And what we have found is Mr. Viresh Borkar, the MLA, had gone on protest in respect of certain applications made in his constituency for changing the zoning to settlement, which otherwise in the regional plan were not in the settlement zone. They were hills, they were natural zones, etc. But that really is no answer. Well, what has happened is it's only in one particular area that it is either in abeyance or held back. I don't think that they have been recalled. But what about the rest of Goa? Our demand has been that this has to stop. And why has it to stop? Because originally Section 16A of the Town and Country Planning Act said that once a regional plan is notified, all development must be in terms of the regional plan. The first tampering started in 98 by bringing 16B. Thereafter, 16B was repealed and brought in 2439A, which just allows anybody without consideration of the ecosystem, without consideration. See, in law, when you want to change something, there has to be something called application of mind. There have to be certain principles based upon which you will change. Now, Section 38, the 39A has no such principles. You make an application and somebody sits down there, no application of mind, somebody may file objections. Objections are filed, they have been overruled for reasons not discernible. I may use the legal language. And this is going on for the last from 24 onwards on the large scale. Number of applications, I think, are about, don't have them just now in my hand.
Okay.
Are substantial. And out of them, nearly 12 lakh square meters of land 13 lakh square meters of land have already been converted using this. Actually, what is worrying us is not 39A, which just allows anybody without consideration of the ecosystem, without consideration. See, in law, when you want to change something, there has to be something called application of mind. There have to be certain principles based upon which you will change. Now, Section 38, the 39A has no such principles. You make an application and somebody sits down there, no application of mind, somebody may file objections. Objections are filed, they have been overruled for reasons not discernible. I may use the legal language. And this is going on for the last from 24 onwards on the large scale. Number of applications, I think, are about, don't have them just now in my hand.
Okay.
Are substantial. And out of them, nearly 12 lakh square meters of land 13 lakh square meters of land have already been converted using this. Actually, what is worrying us is not only this part, conversions. What is worrying the movement and the people of Goa generally is now they are going into our villages in our talukas bordering the Western Ghats, and they are changing the demography of our villages. A village which may have some 50 to 100 houses, they are bringing in projects to house 200, 300 plots, and none of these plots are going to be purchased by Goans. That's one part. Two, there is no electricity, no regular water supply, no sewerage systems, and you are bringing in large projects, thereby affecting the livelihood, the electric supply to this infrastructure. I will use the word infrastructure for the people, which is now not in terms of what should be. No sewerage, groundwaters are getting contaminated, topsoil is getting contaminated, and nobody seems to have been bothering about this all the while. So this is what bothered people like me and others who have come around. Of course, we had a few NGOs consistently fighting in the high courts for every conversion, and my thanks to those NGOs led by Goa Foundation and Mr. Prabhu Desai, who have been for a long time articulating these causes on behalf of the Goan people. And then we thought a time has come to bring forward all these people together. Yes, people go on saying development, development, development. We have made it very clear. From on the channel, I want to also make it very clear. We are not against development. We say confine this development within the settlement areas notified in the original plan. Secondly, if major projects come, projects which will provide jobs to our people, not these housing projects which provide no jobs to our people, which only are destructive of the environment, are cutting into their infrastructure with no benefit to them. So these are our concerns which we have been articulating. So therefore, what has happened by the MLA calling off this hunger strike, what we use the expression tip of the iceberg. The iceberg is still hidden.
Yes, basically, sir, you are saying tip of the iceberg. Mr. Prabhu Desai, thank you so much for joining me again. Your opening comments, is this enough?
How can it be enough? Okay, it is just, I would say it is not even the match has started, it is just a net practice. Okay, and we are still going, I mean, the match is far ahead.
Okay.
And maybe the first over is now coming in the assembly, which is starting on 6th March, where it is a real challenge now to all the 40 MLAs to show that they to show their love for Goa's greenery, everything, because now this issue, especially after Viresh Borkar's, MLA Viresh Borkar's hunger strike, 6-day hunger strike, which we withdrew yesterday. Okay, the whole, one part of it, that land grab is there, but Section 39 has gone into DNA of all Goans. Okay, as a journalist, let me tell you, forget the party which Viresh Borkar belongs to, his workers or his villagers, where basically, especially women folk is coming in a big way on the road. Okay, they were sleeping in the TCP office the whole night. Okay, and they have shown it earlier also in another struggle in Chimel or another struggle in Pedne, in Arambol. That was one thing, but basically people from cross section of society were visiting Viresh Borkar. That was one thing. Yesterday there was a football match, and at the football match, people were holding banners, scrap 39A. It has gone so much in the DNA. If you go to Instagram, all the young people, students are making reels on this and explaining the younger generation basically what is 39A. So it has gone into the DNA of Goa, right from the youngsters, students to old people. Everybody is today is on a war path, I would say. So now it is a challenge to the legislators, because 80% of these legislators are involved in land dealings, whether they are opposition, whether they are, yes, I'm telling you as a journalist, whether they are opposition or whether they are ruling. Okay, parties don't matter. Today, the only underground party that is functioning in Goa is a land mafia party. And that's why it is a challenge to prove them if they want to get elected in the next election. The election is coming in next year, 2027. Otherwise, all will go home. It is that kind of mood people are in right now.
Okay. Justice Abelo, is land mafia the real nightmare for the average Goans, the builder mafia, the land mafia?
So I would slightly put it this way. Wherever housing complexes somebody plans for, a mafia is created.
Okay.
So see, the worst for me is that members of our legislature are that when they passed Section 39A, nearly 50% of them are applicants under the section. Addressing the legislators, I asked them, where in India have you ever heard laws being made by legislators to benefit themselves? Section 39A has been enacted in the Goa Assembly, and if you see the names of people who have applied for conversion of land under 39A, of course they are not going to develop the land. The land is going to be developed by a third person. They are the ones who have purchased the land or own the land, and pursuant to Section 39A, they have made these applications. Now, this is one part of it. There are more worrying aspects. Now, there's something called Section 17A. Now, Section 17A was brought in, you cannot cut hills without the permission of the without the permission of the chief town planner. Now, no rules have been made till date as to how the chief town planner is going to exercise his discretion. Hill is defined as 10% gradient. It is not defined. Now the chief town planner had issued what is known as a memorandum explanation in 2010 saying we will follow the Surveyor General of India's topographical plans. After this amendment in 2023, some new guidelines were given by the Town and Country Planning Board, which has no jurisdiction because the powers of the chief town planner, and they have allowed private individual architects to say that the plans prepared by the Surveyor General of India are faulty, because that said you can't cut above 25 gradient. Now the private surveyors say that the Surveyor General of India's plans are faulty. What we are now submitting is correct, and the town planning department does not raise the question. Why don't we refer this matter back to the Surveyor General of India for their comment?
Okay.
So that ought to have been the proper course of action.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir, absolutely, Mr. Prabhu Desai. You know, before I close in this discussion, do you think that the Sahyadris in Goa or the Goa's hinterland are in real deep risk?
Everything. It is from coastland to hinterland. Everything. I come from Kanakon. Okay, Kanakon is supposed to be in the a place which is a place of hinterland, forests, paddy fields, the coconut plantation, orchards and all. Kanakon, people have reached Kanakon right now and buying properties there in a big way. I was shocked when I got this thing. Under 39A, which Justice Ribelo was saying. Okay, the latest reply, assembly reply where I get that whether there are 1,220 applicants and the land involved is 68 lakh square meters, and out of that zone which is changed is of 150 cases which involves land of 9.30 lakh square meters. Can you imagine? Okay, with this they are now from coastland, they are going inside, and everywhere they are reaching, and that's why people are agitated from all over Goa, because everywhere they are reaching. That is the case.
So you are saying basically it's also changing the demographic pattern of Goa?
Yes, demographic pattern in the sense, I would say, if they come and stay here,
Okay.
if they come and live here. But this is, I told you earlier also, that yesterday also in a debate, that it is a big tourism racket of illegal tourism.
What is illegal tourism? Tell me, ma'am. There is tourism, there is responsible tourism, there are bad tourists. What is illegal tourism?
Illegal tourism means basically tourists come here and they go and stay in residential houses, which these people have bought as holiday homes. They are not registered. Nothing is registered. The houses are also not registered as tourist places, and these tourists are also, because if you and me go to a hotel, on the counter we have to give our PAN card or Aadhaar card, and then you have to be registered. Tomorrow if some crimes happen, then you don't get any evidence also, because you don't know who were the people who were staying there. They are just online booked and they come and live there. So that is completely illegal. And this illegal tourism was finally, earlier after COVID, there was a report prepared by tourism department, where earlier the legal tourists were shown as 56 lakhs, and finally they reached the figure of 1.5 crore per year. So can you imagine how big is this illegal tourism which is running through these holiday homes which are built by this means, by the land mafia? That is the issue. And it is just not Delhi, please. It has, like, I had gone to Ranchi, and while coming back, I met some people who are real estate dealers, basically from Jharkhand. So it is spread everywhere, and people are coming and doing this business.
Okay. Thank you both of you. And as I said, that we will continue to pursue this story, because this story is about environment, this story is about Goans, which is such a beautiful state, and this story is about India, that yes, people have right to move, settle, be everywhere, but it should not come at the cost of the people who stay there. That's the most fundamentally important thing. Thank you both of you gentlemen for joining me. This was on point 2. And finally on point 3, we tell you how the Delhi Rouse Avenue Court tore apart CBI and its flawed charge sheet in the Liquorgate case.
ये केजरीवाल भ्रष्ट नहीं है। मैंने केवल अपनी जिंदगी में ईमानदारी कमाई है, इन्होंने झूठा केस लगाया और आज ये साबित हो गया। कोर्ट ने कहा है कि केजरीवाल कट्टर ईमानदार है, मनीष सिसोदिया कट्टर ईमानदार है, आम आदमी पार्टी कट्टर ईमानदार है। मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी से कहना चाहता हूँ, सत्ता के लिए इस तरह से खिलवाड़ मत कीजिए देश के साथ, इस तरह से संविधान के साथ खिलवाड़ मत कीजिए। आपको सत्ता चाहिए, अच्छे काम कीजिए। आज देश के सामने इतनी बड़ी बड़ी समस्याएं हैं, महंगाई है, बेरोजगारी है, पूरे देश में सड़कें टूटी पड़ी है, चारों तरफ पोल्यूशन ही पोल्यूशन हो रहा है, चारों तरफ देश में इतनी समस्याएं हैं। उन समस्याओं का समाधान करके सत्ता में आइए ना। केजरीवाल पे, आम आदमी पार्टी पे झूठे केस क्यों करते हैं?
It is a moment of vindication for Arvind Kejriwal in the Liquorgate case, but we are not going to speak about Kattar Imandar's return right now. We shine the spotlight on the court tearing apart CBI for flawed investigation and poor charge sheet. The Rouse Avenue Court came down heavily on the Central Bureau of Investigation, flagging serious flaws in its charge sheet in the Delhi liquor policy case. The Rouse Avenue Court has delivered a scathing indictment of the CBI, effectively dismantling agency's charge sheet in the case. In unusually sharp language, the court said CBI's approach was particularly disturbing, accusing the investigating officers showing a complete disregard for facts and prosecuting public servants despite the absence of substantive evidence. The court held that the witness statements relied upon by the agency did not meet basic evidentiary standards and noted that allegations were kept deliberately fluid, appearing to follow a conscious and calculated stratagem. Rejecting the core prosecution narrative, the court found no evidence of manipulation or influence in the framing of Delhi excise policy and no material linking the policy to criminal intent. Crucially, the court also recorded that there is no evidence against Kejriwal or Sisodia and strongly objected to region-based labeling of accused persons part of South Group, calling it arbitrary, unwarranted and carrying an unavoidable undertone. Emphasizing that criminal adjudication must rest on conduct proved by evidence, the court warned that the suspicion and conjuncture cannot substitute proof, sending an unambiguous message that investigative overreach weakens the justice system and cannot be sustained by law. The court's remark have handed fresh ammunition to the opposition, with both the Congress and Aam Aadmi Party alleging systematic misuse of central agencies by the BJP. Congress leader says that the pattern is unmistakable. Cases against opposition leaders accelerate before elections, while probe involving the BJP's convenient allies slow down or quietly fade. AAP leaders argue that the liquor case proves how investigative agencies are weaponized to damage political rivals rather than deliver justice. Both parties insist that repeated judicial setbacks exposed what they call a politically motivated investigation model driven from the top, aimed at shaping electoral narratives rather than securing convictions. I'll play out those bites. In studio, I'm joined by Brijesh Pandey. Brijesh, I was running those graphics. Where did the agency fail?
I think the real question would be where it didn't. This failure was written all over the very bulky charge sheet it filed. And if you look at the fact that court came down like a ton of bricks on almost every aspect of investigation, I mean, it was a very sorry state of affairs. And the worst thing is, Kartikeya, that this is not acquittal, this is discharge. This means that the case is not even fit to go to trial. So the court ripped apart all the arguments put forth by the investigative agency. Imagine the court going to the extent by asking the CBI to take administrative action, disciplinary action against the IO, the investigating officer of the case, for the kind of shoddy job he has done. And it has brought back Arvind Kejriwal again on the national political center like anything.
So where do you think the flaw was in the charge sheet?
I think, you know, there were several flaws. One of the key flaw was that they were not able to prove to the court beyond reasonable doubt that the policy was created to generate backdoor money, and also, you know, the PMLA case which was later on registered by the Enforcement Directorate. There was no seizure of money. There was no substantive and you know, evidence linking Kejriwal directly. If you, I would want to recall that you know, that the Kejriwal name was not in the first charge sheet. The Kejriwal name was not in the first supplementary, second supplementary. It was in the fourth supplementary where his name was added. And the court also did not like the practice of converting accused as approvers, and then, you know, allowing the approvers as the term which was used to fill in the blanks of the CBI's narrative. So this was like, you know, what court actually meant was that you were turning accused into approvers to substantiate your own theory. There was no staccato or standalone substantive theory which was, you know, incriminating Arvind Kejriwal or even the remaining 22 you know, persons. So it was I mean, if you look at the number of years which have gone by, I mean, and the court not finding the charge sheet even fit to go to trial is, I think, a massive embarrassment for the Central Bureau of Investigation.
There was one political allegation which Arvind Kejriwal made. Let me play that one specific bite.
ये पूरा षड्यंत्र किसने रचा, क्यों रचा? ये पूरा षड्यंत्र दो लोगों ने मिलकर रचा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी और अमित शाह जी। और आज उन दोनों को पूरे देश से माफी मांगनी चाहिए। उन दोनों ने मिलकर षड्यंत्र रचा कि आम आदमी पार्टी को खत्म किया जाए, आम आदमी पार्टी को बर्बाद किया जाए। और उस षड्यंत्र के तहत आजाद भारत का सबसे बड़ा और सबसे घिनौना षड्यंत्र रचा उन लोगों ने। वो देख रहे थे कि दिल्ली में वो हमें नहीं हरा सकते। वो देख रहे थे कि दिल्ली की जनता हमारे कामों से बहुत खुश है। वो देख रहे थे दिल्ली में कामों की राजनीति के आधार पर वो कहीं खड़े नहीं होते। तो उन्होंने एक षड्यंत्र रचा। जनता जानती है कि केजरीवाल ईमानदार, उन्होंने कहा केजरीवाल की ईमानदारी पे चोट करो। जनता जानती है कि आम आदमी पार्टी ईमानदारी, उन्होंने कहा आम आदमी पार्टी की ईमानदारी पे चोट करो। उन्होंने आम आदमी पार्टी को खत्म करने के लिए षड्यंत्र रचा और बोले केजरीवाल बेईमान है, केजरीवाल बेईमान है, केजरीवाल बेईमान है, केजरीवाल ने शराब घोटाला किया, केजरीवाल पैसे खा गया, केजरीवाल ने 100 करोड़ रुपए खा लिए। मैंने जिंदगी में केवल ईमानदारी कमाई है, मैंने जिंदगी में केवल इज्जत कमाई है। एक नया पैसा नहीं कमाया मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में। इन लोगों की तरह नहीं हूं मैं। मैंने जिंदगी में एक नया पैसा नहीं कमाया, केवल ईमानदारी कमाई है। और ये उस ईमानदारी के ऊपर चोट करना चाहते थे, उसके लिए इन्होंने षड्यंत्र रचा था।
You know, Kejriwal's party has lost ground in Delhi, but do you think that this will make a difference when it comes to his political charm, or will it make a difference to his political value in Delhi? The state is lost.
Well, I think, you know, it has given Kejriwal a second lease of political life.
Okay.
If you remember, post you know, the loss of Delhi, Kejriwal had completely withdrawn himself from the politics of Delhi. There was barely any appearance of Arvind Kejriwal in the state of Delhi. He had you know, kind of relocated himself to Punjab, looking after affairs of Punjab and strategizing for his party to win elections in Punjab. But he was completely absent in Delhi. I think what this judgment has done is that judgment has given a massive boost to Arvind Kejriwal, and you have already seen, you know, the way Arvind Kejriwal and his MLAs and you know, party workers are now gone on offensive. I think now you will see more of Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi, and also, you know, Arvind Kejriwal going to town about, you know, how, you know, he has been persecuted, how he has been you know, trapped in a fake embezzlement case, and now he has been dealt by the political narrative. It will also not only help Kejriwal, it will help Mamata Banerjee and Stalin, because if you remember, for the last 3 years, one of the key narrative of the opposition leading parties was that ED and CBI are being used as tools by the center to harass its political opponent. I think this particular judgment will give a massive boost to those allegations.
Okay. Another important thing is that this also creates a template for future investigations, but this also casts a spotlight on CBI's past performance. Like, for example, you look at the Arushi's case.
Yeah.
If you look at the Nithari case, in several high-profile cases, I think the agency has been wanting in performance.
Well, I think, they have allowed too much of political influence to rise up to their original, idea of being India's premier most investigative agency. And the conduct of CBI and or Enforcement Directorate of late, which is considered to be a CBI into 100, has left several very, very important question unanswered, question about personal liberty, question about, why, these agencies are going only after opposition leaders, and various other uncomfortable questions. And I think time has come for the Supreme Court also to put a cap on this. If you look at the several judgment, during the Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna's tenure and going on from there, they had castigated Enforcement Directorate also in a very, very bad light. So it's not good for the premier most investigative agency in the country to be treated like this, by the court, where the court is saying that they have allowed their fantasy to run amok rather than, to deal with or provide substantial evidence to the court. And I think, if you look at the judgment.
Despite this, the Congress and Kejriwal are not on the same page. Today they fought against each other.
I think that's the second most important story. What has happened is that not only they fought against each other, it was also a Congress versus India alliance fight. Because all the other India alliance, be it Stalin, be it Mamata Banerjee, be it Akhilesh Yadav, they all were backing Arvind Kejriwal. But the Congress has also realized that it's time for either India alliance or look for their own survival in politics. And I think they've gone for their own survival, and that is the reason.
I think it was a pretty sharp exchange. I mean, what Supriya Srinath tweeted, virtually saying that our leader does not cry. I mean, so what was she saying? Our leader does not cry. Whereas, when Kejriwal came out, he became very emotional.
The fact is that there is no love lost. We heard Pawan Kheda, we saw Supriya Srinath tweeting, we saw other political leaders. They're saying what happened about Sheila Dikshit. You make all kind of baseless allegations. Did you apologize to her? So what are you talking about? But I think, more than this, Kejriwal was very acerbic towards Prime Minister and Home Minister and all. But, his party and he is now equally acerbic towards Congress. He said, why is because one of the tweets said that there's some sort of a patch up between BJP and Congress.
Basically saying that the Congress leaders don't go to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
I was the one who went to jail.
Sonia.
So the Congress saying that our leader is not afraid. He's not he's the one who is crying. But that's the retort between the Congress and Aam Aadmi Party. But I leave you with the visuals of Kejriwal. The man became pretty emotional.
मैंने केवल केजरीवाल भ्रष्ट नहीं है। मैंने केवल अपनी जिंदगी में ईमानदारी कमाई है।
Indian cricket captain is possibly the most watched person in the country.
You will only get opportunities if you're good. And if you're not good, don't